Hi, I'm Jason Sterling. I'm a member of the EA Creator Network, and today, as a member of that network, we are using an early access of the Royalty and Legacy expansion pack to create a build for the world of Dambele. That means that this particular version that I'm using it's a beta version. It's a beta version of the expansion pack, so it's not finished. It's not done yet. It's not done yet. It's a couple of weeks out from being finished. Now, it really doesn't matter in regard to this video. I'll tell you, as a builder, I'm primarily a builder. As a builder, I haven't noticed really any problems, and you're not going to see anything in this video. Nothing happened during the construction of this particular build that was a bug or a glitch. And with that, we're going to jump right into it here. This is a large lot. It's really large. It's going to be my palace for Dambele here. Probably pronouncing that wrong, by the way. Really don't know how they pronounced it. I don't know that I've even, they must have said it in a trailer or something, but I don't know. It's a huge lot. It is going to be my palace. It's going to take a while. That's why this video is particularly long, even as kind of a speed build. And the fact that I have edited out chunks of it to make it go faster. We're going to start here with what I consider the kind of big chunks of building. So it's really floor planning. It's really a floor plan is what we're drawing out to begin with. And in this case, the idea was I wanted a really large, impressive throne room. If you're a monarch here in the North African desert, right, in Morocco, you're going to have a really large, impressive throne room. So when people come in to visit, they'll automatically just be in awe of you, right? I also had in my head kind of this idea on each end of the throne room, we would have, like on one end, a dining area. So a sort of formal state dining room. And on the other end, I had originally envisioned a sort of living room, like a state reception room. That is still present to some extent, but it really morphed into part of the royal apartment, which is on that end of the building on both the first and second floors. And it became more of a sort of library and meeting room for the royal family that I really consider part of the royal apartment. The entire structure, of course, is the royal family's home. But the throne room is like a public space. It's like a public library or like an airport. It's like an airport. It's like an international airport. Everybody comes there, everybody in and out all the time. It's not private at all. It's very public, very open. And so the apartment, the royal apartment to the side, that's really where the royal family lives. I created a avenue, as you can see there down the middle. This image of long, grand walk up to the main structure. On both sides, I wanted to see these sort of pavilions with greenery and fountains, sort of respite from the heat of the desert, and a series of them leading up to this main building. The structure, of course, is done in traditional sort of castle or palace style of a courtyard surrounded by sort of a U-shaped building. The wings that come out from the front of the building, that come out from the main building, stretch along that courtyard. On one side is family bedrooms. On the other side are sort of bedrooms of state where guests or visiting dignitaries would stay. They're mirror images. You'll see coming up, they're going to be mirror images of each other. But those are definitely on each side. Above the family side, we're not going to have anything on that rooftop. But above the state side, we do have some entertaining space on the rooftop, as is typical, sort of in a North African setting, someplace to hang out up above, get a little more breeze, a little more air. You can see the pavilion design here. It took me a lot really to build the first one. I have done this before one other time, something kind of like this. This is not an exact replica of that, but definitely it's inspired by it. It's tough, fountains don't want to place underneath a structure. They don't want to place indoors. There is a way to make them place indoors. And in fact, the build that I had up yesterday here on YouTube, I did put a fountain indoors, but it's a little bit clumsy to deal with. And here I did work out a system, although I worked it out and then I changed it ultimately to something a little bit different. I also put in, this is the start of the wing. I wanted these sort of monumental entrances for each of the rooms of these wings that stretch out here on each side of the courtyard. There are 2 bedrooms, of course, as I mentioned. In the middle is a common space, a sort of living area. Now, each of the bedrooms also has a sitting room contained within the space. But there's a common space where maybe if you bring people over or you have, again, maybe a guest of state visiting that part of the palace, that's a room if you don't want to necessarily take them into your more intimate space of your bedroom. With this area here, I had these sort of ideas of this sort of grand triumphal arch, right? I want to have this archway that you're going to pass through, and then underneath the sort of covered walkway, which also acts as a way to get to the main building. If you're staying in one of the wings, they each have these sort of covered walkways. Going to protect you from the heat as you go from the main building out to that room, out to those rooms. But to get into your room, if you're just walking through the courtyard or you're crossing from one wing to another, I wanted these monumental arches, as you can see here. I played around a little bit with the idea of putting curtains there. It felt a little sort of Arabian, right? The sort of maybe an Arabian type of feel, these sort of flowy, sort of translucent sort of curtains. I didn't keep them, as you can see. I did not keep them. I decided it was not really, I don't know, it just didn't look right. It didn't fit with the doors. It didn't fit with the archways. It didn't live up to the vision, right? Maybe because there's no wind. Maybe if there had been wind and they'd been blowing them gently, right, I would have been like, oh, yeah, that's exactly what I wanted. That's my hallmark moment, right? That's a romance right there. Doesn't it look romantic? I still think it came out fine, and I still think it looks romantic to have this sort of arch to pass through. But that was kind of the original vision, was to kind of hang some sort of curtains there that would kind of be billowing around the arch. A little bit like maybe a tent, sort of tent in the desert. Now, here on the walkway, I do kind of a fencing around it. I went back and forth with this walkway with landscaping it. On one hand, you do want some landscaping, or I did, to kind of soften that hard stone exterior. On the other hand, it is a desert. And I don't know, even though they're wealthy, I mean, they're the king, right? They're the king, they're the queen. They can spend all the water they want, right? They can just pour all the water they want. It's part of what the fountains represent, right? Wealth. We've got enough water, we just put it here in a hole just to look at it, right? But I do go back and forth with those areas with landscaping coming up later in the video. Just like I go back and forth here. Right now we have a fountain in the middle of this particular pavilion. That was my original idea, put a fountain in the middle. It does not last. I also wanted the pavilion, as you can see here, for it to be possible to cross through it. That's part of maybe part of the thinking I had, where I ended up taking the water out. I don't know. In the end, I kind of wanted it to feel a little more open, but I do put landscaping there, so I must not have cared that much. It's kind of weird. I'm not real sure what kind of drove my idea with it. I keep a fountain, but I end up putting the landscaping in the middle with the fountain around it. No real reason why. Just like here, I was trying a sort of triangular section to act as these little landscape points around the pavilion. And with that kind of said, I did jump over and start doing, some molding work. So I put in a little bit of molding, just some detail, just some carved sort of detail. Again, this is a palace. This is to represent the wealth and power of the monarchy here. And so you want to have a lot of details, a lot of expensive details, and a lot of unnecessary details. Do you really need that sort of carved molding around the edge of that arch? No, you really don't. And it's interesting to me how I stopped suddenly and I went over and did that. And then I came back over to the pavilion. I do that a lot when I'm building, and you'll see it a lot with this particular build where I'm working on something and then all of a sudden, I don't know if it catches my eye as I'm working on it or if it just occurs to me while I'm working on this one area. I'll jump over to another area real quick and think, oh yeah, I know what I want to do. I want to put this there. I want to put that there. I want to put windows there. That happened at one point. I'm working in a different area and I could just see the back of the building and it was solid stone. And I thought, how have I not put any windows in that yet? How have I not done that? So I just stopped and moved over and put windows in, then went back to what I was doing. What I'm doing here, of course, is you can see I put the fountain around the landscaping, and I'm kind of trying to work out a way to easily copy and paste to these sort of structures. I finally come up with a way that I like it. You can see I'd already built it 6 times, right? I'd already built it 6 times, decided I didn't like that particular configuration, but I do like this. Once I got to this point, fountain around a landscape center, I loved it. I was like, okay, this is kind of really fitting what I'm looking for. So I was looking with those sort of squares, columns, little square rooms I'd built around it. Like, how can I move? How can I copy and move this intact? How can I move this intact? Also, too, you can see here, I needed to expand the size of the wing in order to better accommodate a bedroom and a bath. So that was one reason why I went ahead and just deleted all of those other 6 structures. Not only were they not going to be used, but I needed to move everything a little bit closer. So I needed to make that avenue that you're going to walk down narrower so that I can move everything towards it. With this first sort of second pavilion I'm building, I basically moved it over piece by piece, but I really needed a solution where I could try to do it maybe a little bit faster than that. I don't really know that I ever came up with a solution. I did start copying and pasting to move it to make sure it's exactly the same, but I think it ended up taking just as long as if I just built the thing over and over and over. You can see the seeds I'm putting here right now. Now that ties into the lore of this particular palace as I saw it when I was building it. So I meant it as a certain blending of 2 cultures. You had 2 monarchs who got married, one from maybe Verde Mare, right? And one from here. And in the end, I use the blue seed and the orange seed. The blue one to represent Verde Mare, which is on the sea. They're known for sailing and pirates and stuff. And the orange one to represent here in Northern Africa. And on 2 of the pavilions, you have a lone blue seed. And on 2, you have a lone orange seed. But the pavilions in the middle, you have a blended seed like I did there with the orange and red. I don't know why I used orange and red to begin with. I don't know if I was thinking that's the way I was going to go with it. And then I changed my mind to blue. That could be it. At one point with the internal lore of myself, I did come up with this idea that one of the monarchs, blue is their favorite color. So, and the other monarch works in pieces of blue in his wardrobe, just to make the other person happy, right? So it could be that. That's why I changed it to blue. That definitely could be the case. I can't remember for sure. As you can see here, I started working on the main structure again, working on the 2nd floor. It is a 2-story. sort of throne room, of course, very grand. Give you a very grand entrance when you come in. I used the new windows. The long, narrow ones have a very sort of African feel to them, all in the back, all across the back. So when you walk in, that main throne room really has not a lot of windows. You know, it's fairly closed in. Your focus is supposed to be on the monarch, right? You're here to see the queen. You're here to see the queen. Don't be looking to side. Don't be looking out the window. Get distracted on your damn phone. Pay attention to the queen, right? So the queen is the only person kind of bathed in natural light. She or he, I always say the queen because, you know, I'm the queen girl. I'm going to run this place. I'm going to run this kingdom. So the queen there is the only individual kind of in natural light. Your eye is automatically drawn towards them, coming from the outdoors where it's so bright and so glaring. You walk inside, you just see darkness everywhere else because your eyes aren't accustomed to the interior yet. But directly ahead of you is the light, this glowing sort of light-filled space with the throne of Her Majesty. They're raised up a little bit above the rest of you, right? We just a little above the rest of you there. And in the end, of course, this particular build will have 2 thrones because I did end up going with a pair of monarchs who share this particular kingdom. And so they each have their own throne. On the interior here, I start kind of mapping out these separate rooms at each end, one for dining, one for living. Trying to decide exactly how open I want them to be to the throne room because they're not actually part of the throne room, but at the same time, completely sealing them off from the throne room makes the space too closed in. It removes part of that grandeur of space. But at the same time, yeah, I don't want it completely open. I don't want to just see that. You know, it's one long room with just some furniture at each end of it. You need this space, this sort of definition of space. Now we're getting in here to the big thing with this pack. Or at least one of the big things, these new stairs. The stairs, of course, are these sort of flared, curved bottom stairs that we really wanted, by we, I mean me, for, what year is it? For 12 long years. Wanted them for 12 long years, and they're finally here. And they're actually really easy to use. The little arrows at the bottom, you can pull out either just one side or both sides. Just kind of like how the roofing works. And there's no rail up the middle because you set, you know, 2 side by side to make it double wide like that, 2 separate staircases, or pull it double wide if you want to. No rail up the middle. Beautiful. Love it. Love it, love it, love it. Here with our dais, you know, where the throne's going to sit, start to put in some of the tile, some of the flooring. It does change around a little bit. Tile is really beautiful, but also in some ways to me, I was worried, is it too busy? You know, is it going to look like too much pattern? Like if you walked in off the street and saw this, you'd be like, wow, that's a lot of pattern. You know, that's something. That's really something. It's kind of like, you know, did you pick that out? One of those questions like, did you pick this out all by yourself? Well, I guess so. One thing we did pick out and I love is that rug that we just placed. That's going to be our dining room over there. The dining room does get bigger. I end up enlarging the dining room. That was a little bit of the problem with both the dining room and the living room being combined with part of the royal apartment, the library area. They did end up being a little bit small. And to be quite honest, 50 by 50 is a little small. For a palace, it is a little small. I would have preferred, naturally, a 64 by 64 here in this particular neighborhood. We get one 64 by 64 lot. It's over in kind of the Italian neighborhood. I would have much rather seen it here. This is what I consider the really new neighborhood. This is the new look. This is the new style. I mean, it doesn't look like anything else in game. So this is where I really want to build and really, you know, do my thing, right? Do what I enjoy doing. So It's 50 by 50. It's not a lot of room to spread outwards. And I do end up adjusting both. Originally, the dining room and the living room are supposed to be equal sizes. On equal sides of the building, a sort of Palladian style where it mirrors each other. That's kind of how the wings developed at first, was that same sort of Palladian idea. But, in the end, it doesn't have to do that. And I really do like what I end up coming up with, even though it's not exactly matching on both sides. I think it's a little more realistic not to have it matching on both sides. It's funny once you start to put the flooring and especially the wall coverings in, how much this place really starts to take on its character. I was really amazed when I put in the sort of African pattern, kind of the West African sort of assets we got, or some of the patterns that we see in like the wallpaper and the rugs and stuff. Putting that along that back wall by the throne really just brightened up that space from a decor standpoint. It was no longer boring. It was no longer bland, right? It was suddenly really exciting, really electrifying. And I think it's really, especially watching this as it plays across, it's really interesting to see just how radical a change that sort of thing can do. Okay, so we've got the upper walkway here. I just mapped out those two small pony walls, and I put another sort of pony wall along the edge, overlooking the entryway, sort of atrium there, 2-level entryway. My first idea with this was to have this balcony be a bit like Evita, right? The monarch will come out here on this balcony, speak to the masses down below. I don't even know if that'll work. It kind of looked like it's going to work that way, like it's supposed to on the trailer. But I haven't had much time for gameplay, so I have no idea if it actually would work that way. In the end, I also didn't like the way doors looked stuck into the front of this build. So while I might change it at some point when I'm using every single pack in-game for myself, I might add a door that I feel like does work there and take out that window. With what we've got to work with at the moment, I just didn't feel like it did. Now, I might change my mind. By the time this goes up on the gallery, I might go in and swap it out. We'll see, because I did kind of like that idea, that sort of movie idea of doing that. I went in here, worked on the dining room. We got a table. We've got our kind of a bar back behind there. It actually becomes a real bar. I do turn that into a real bar. At the time, there were no bars, I think, anywhere on this lot at that moment. And I thought we really should have something in the dining room. If we have a party here, we have some sort of grand ball. I really need somewhere where you could have drinks for the party. I also raised the dining room up one step. So again, it sets it apart from this opposite end, even a little bit more, because the opposite end I do not set up by a step. It's completely level all the way across. Here, which is where we are, the opposite end, I'm kind of building a little living room. I'm building a little sitting area. Not really a full living room, because there's just a couple of kind of like settees there, made out of the new sectionals. Thank you, God. We needed another one so bad. And I really love the design on this. It is real. They're very, very cool. Really, really like them. So the sectionals are going to act as the sort of seating. Maybe it's just kind of a waiting area. Back and forth a bit on these two rooms. You can see I'm putting some windows here into the living room side. Give us a little bit of view outside. Again, in the main area, in the throne room, the only windows are in the back around the monarch. The rest of the house are windows looking out in all the rooms, so you can kind of see what's going on. Get a little fresh air, get a little light in. The furnishings are a mishmash of different styles and cultures. Again, that is to reflect. Now, I did lean into sort of African items, African-influenced items for the game that have been added in, because this is in Northern Africa. But at the same time, I work in a lot of European influences because the two monarchs that live here, one of them is from Europe. And so over time, different sort of influences from where he's from, things that he likes, things that he enjoys, have been integrated in, like those mirrors, the heavy gold mirrors. Also, too, I do feel like all over the world, including Africa, you tend to find, different styles depending on the area. You're probably going to find some gold carved mirrors like that just for sale in Africa, just like you would in Europe or America, sort of Rococo sort of design. So that also fits, but in this case especially, I intended it with this eye towards, these are two people from two different cultures, and they're blending, they've blended, still blending their lives together as into one whole. And you can even see here on the throne, sort of dais there, or dais, however you want to pronounce it, that the sort of subsidiary thrones, right, the subsidiary seating for the lesser members of the royal family, they're more of a European style of seating. And maybe, you could imagine that sort of setup is more of a European style. Maybe before there was nothing on those steps. But the monarch that married into this family, maybe his family expects when they come, they'll share this sort of seating area with the monarch. And so, his husband is like, okay, sure, throw a couple seats there. They want to sit up here with us, great. Tell them if they have a good idea, speak up. So that's kind of the idea. Up here at the top, I do a little bit of floor planning for the royal apartment, as you can see. There's a couple of sitting areas. There will be a bedroom area, and there is, of course, and a bath, master bedroom, master bath, and then there'll also be a sword fighting, a swordsmanship, fencing practice area. We're working on our wings here. This is the family wing. I start with the central shared living space, which has doorways leading into each room, each of the bedrooms. Each of the bedrooms, of course, have an ensuite bathroom. Now, I'll tell you one thing that kind of hit me, and I'm not real sure what I'm going to do about it before I upload this thing, but it hit me about the time I was building this. I didn't really include any guest bathrooms. When I was building it, it didn't seem like I needed any. I had bathrooms everywhere, right? There's something like 6 bathrooms on this lot, but it is a bit odd that you would have a palace like this where you're going to expect the public to come often and not have some sort of, bathroom for them to use, not have a sort of like, oh yeah, no, just go use mine. It's upstairs in the royal apartment, through the bedroom, through the master closet. There's the bathroom. Yeah, that's probably not going to happen. So I don't know what I'm going to do. I really kind of painted myself into a corner with that one, but I do have an idea. I can put one in, kind of off the courtyard. There is a place where I can put one. And so my idea is that's what I'll do, right? I'll go in and I'll establish a bathroom there, at least one guest bathroom. One's probably all we need. That is probably enough. And yeah, I mean, if I've play tested this a little bit, when your Sims have to go, unless you just lock all the bathroom doors, they're really just going to choose whichever one's closest. And they typically use the bathroom in one of those bedrooms in the wing. I don't think I ever saw them go upstairs to use the bathroom. So yeah, so they'll figure it out. They'll do something, but I do have an idea. I do think I'll be able to make it work. Just like I start making this particular exterior work, I go through and start moving everything into place. I want to have it completely mapped out. I put in a fence around this to kind of close it off. Again, more in keeping with a sort of monarchy type of palace, or a monarchy sort of, it's not really a castle. It doesn't have that defensive posturing that a castle would have. So it's really more of a palace, but I did start working on a fence there. I change it considerably. I decide that I want something a little more, I don't know, I guess substantial than even this iron fence is. I also wasn't super happy that it was black. It did not come in a white version, and so much of the rest of the courtyard and the buildings are that light tone of stone, or like white moldings, white columns. To me, the black really stuck out, really stuck out. So that does get changed coming up. here in this area, again, this is a blending of two cultures. So I've got fig trees in here for kind of Northern Africa, I guess. And I thought, I want something that's going to be a little more representative of Verde Mar. Again, at least in my head, I guess it is. And so I went and I pulled out of Debug a more, what would be water intensive tree. And it's pretty tall. It's pretty tall. When I end up putting it in, I just shrink it down a little bit. You can see right there. Shrunk it down a little bit. But, it looks like a more water-intensive tree, a little more lush. So I do that, and I put some flowers around it like you would find in Verde Mar and make more of a formal sort of arrangement there. Again, the flowers are in blue because I've started to kind of settle on that as an idea. In fact, you can see it there. There's orange, and then there was the one. And there's blue. There's the blue seeds on top of those particular little structures there attached to the pavilion. And then in the middle, you could just catch a whiff of it there. And you'll be able to see it in the pictures at the end, is where I blended them together. So it looks a little bit like gold and blue blended together. And I've used that technique a lot with these seeds, just as a decorative egg-shaped object. And here, I use it to represent, of course, their union. This is where I changed the fencing. So I create a fence out of these new window pieces, which have a great look. They have a very almost mid-century modern sort of look, and they made a fantastic fence, I feel like, using a pony wall, lower it down to the same height as the window, and then, I changed it all to white, blends in beautifully. I grabbed some of the new, what I consider great statuary. God, we've needed something like this for a long time, a sort of formal garden, formal again, sort of Baroque exterior statuary that you can put on the eaves of your roof or something. Here I use them around our gate, and I put in a new fence, a lower white fence in front of the higher, pony wall type of fence with some vegetation. Again, the vegetation might be a little bit water hungry, but they are the monarchy, and I don't think it's that. I don't think the gardening got out of control. It's not a true formal garden. And I like to feel like how the trees are almost planted in a little sort of planter. Maybe that's designed to keep the water intact. That's my faux ecological sort of, environmental reasoning behind that, how that works, in real life. Yeah, I go back inside. You can see I put in some roofing tiles. I put in some ceiling tiles. I went with dark mahogany for the ceiling tiles, very rich, very luxe. This is our library. Again, I have two desks, right? Because they're in love. So I've got two desks facing each other so that when they're working, and these are two working monarchs. I was kind of joking about the royalty in my last video. He doesn't do nothing, right? He throws parties and he plays the piano and he has a good time. These two are pretty serious about their jobs. So they're working monarchs, and they're always trying to come up with ideas to make life better for the people that they represent. Represent sounds like a strange word because they're monarchs, but they do represent their people. And even though they can't necessarily be voted out of office, they could be hunted down, have their heads chopped off, right? So they do take their job seriously, and they work there together at that desk. And then on the other side, you saw I threw in that sort of meeting room table. I haven't got a lot of decor in there yet, but we do kind of decorate that up, just like we're decorating here. Kind of a little bit of a seating area for this particular throne room, right? Now, you're not really in the throne room to sit. You're in the throne room to stand, right, in front of the monarchy, present your case or present what you need. However, we are a sympathetic, benevolent monarchy here. So there are a few places. You notice there were some chairs over by the dining room, and then I put some chairs here on this side, closer to the living room as well. So if you brought your grandma with you, right? You brought your grandma with you. She's getting a little tired. She just really wanted to meet the king because it's her dream. And, her whole life, she wanted to meet the king and come to the palace. She can have a seat, right? She can have a seat. So she take a little bit of a load off. It's hot outside. Sit down, take a little rest. That's kind of what my thought process was there. Without actually leaving, than actually leaving the throne room and going to, say, the living room or the library. To kind of just take a rest there, still watch what's going on, still hear the proceedings. Upstairs, I get this idea that I work on and work on and work on at different points, that I'm going to raise this bed up, right, on a little platform. I'm going to kind of surround it with stuff. I don't know, right? Some sort of like half walls, maybe some columns. If you've ever been to tour like a European palace, like say Versailles or a German palace or something, you'll see, in the bedrooms a lot of times this bed like surrounded by a fence, sort of. And I don't mean a fence to keep tourists out. Like that's just the way they built the thing. Like, and it's this big, massive, sort of impressive bed. And the idea, someone told me on a tour once, the idea was, nobles and stuff is kind of a surprise, right? Kind of a gift. They could come past and wish the monarch good night or something. I don't know. And so that's what that was meant for. The fence was kind of this barrier, but you could come in and view the monarch getting ready for bed and then see him, go to sleep or crawl into bed or something. I don't know. So that's why it had to be grand. It's like theater. It had to be very grand. So that's what I wanted to do here. Not that these two monarchs do that. There's no more like parade. There's no more bedtime parade coming through like, oh, he's wearing blue pajamas tonight. Oh, that's sexy. No, there's no more parade for these two monarchs. If you want to see them, they're perfectly approachable downstairs. But the bed is still there because it was originally built that way. Now, it didn't get done yet here. I'm telling you, I went back and forth with this bed. I couldn't get the columns to work. And that's not a problem with this pack. It's just a problem with the game, where the columns only want to match the height of, if you use like that crown molding stuff outside, right? It only wants to go as high as that. But I want to pull it all the way up because it's indoors. There's no molding in the way. Lord, don't get me started on that. When are we ever going to get that changed? Maybe never. Maybe never. Not in time for this build. That's for sure. Not in time for this build. This is another room where I kind of struggled a little bit. This is a sitting room for the royal apartment. And it's meant to be a pretty private space or just a family space. So maybe your family members might come up here. And I really didn't know. I don't know. I just had a tough time deciding what to do with it. I'm like, what should I put here? So I put a little desk, right, with a little book and a pen. So maybe you sit there and you write in your diary or you make notes for the next day, something that you wake up in the middle of the night, right? And like, I got it. Maybe if we need more electricity, we can use hydroelectric power and not burn more coal, right? I don't know. So I try to put stuff like that and then just a little small seating area. It's the sort of place that I don't think I'll ever use in game. I'm going to be honest. I really don't see myself using it. It's really just a decor space because realistically, I feel like it would be there. Now, I probably will use that outdoor dining area that you see there. Did put a little casual family outdoor dining space on that particular terrace. There are two other terraces. One will be above the guest wing. And then, again, a sort of family terrace, family entertainment and hangout area above the royal apartment. We'll go in up there. Done a lot like the one you see here that I'm working on, but much larger. But there's a place to eat, place to hang out. There's a bar at that one. I do put a bar in above the family apartments in that particular terrace. There's only like the second bar on the whole lot. They don't drink a lot here. That's the thing. Don't come here and be getting drunk in front of the queen, right? We don't want to see that shit. If you want to get drunk and messy, do it at home. You can invite me over as the queen to your house. And then if you get drunk and messy at your house, I'll watch and think it's funny. And I'll tell everybody else at court what a mess you were. Oh, girl, it was a mess, but I'm not cleaning that up, right? So when you throw up all over your sofa, it's your sofa. You throw up on your sofa. Don't throw up on my sofa. Don't throw up on my floors. These floors are nice. These floors are 400 years old, right? They're 400 years old, and you're going to throw up on them because you can't handle your liquor because it was free, because it was an open bar, you overserved yourself. I don't think so. So anyway, we just took the bars out. That's my backstory. That's my new backstory. That's my lore. That's my lore of this build, my own built-in Sims lore, right? The kitchen, I wanted to be pretty homey. I put in a fireplace, not because of heat, but because I felt like it would have been an original form of cooking for the kitchen, one of them. And over time, as they've modernized, they've gone ahead and kept it. And I do like it. I do think it's kind of very homey back here. This is where your staff is going to spend most of their time, right? And so I thought, well, let's put something, if you have a little fireplace, a little place back here to eat, you don't have a bathroom. You don't get to pee. You don't get to go to the bathroom as the staff. I'm going to fix that. But you do have a lovely fireplace where you can sit down and maybe enjoy a little break. Enjoy some lunch, enjoy some dinner. Coming up, I rearranged this quite a bit. In fact, right now, I think I start moving everything around, shifting it around. Then I bring in a little table. Actually, I thought this was a table. This is not a table. Doesn't it look like a table? It looks like a gorgeous table. It's a desk. So, I don't know. I guess I just misjudged it or something anyway. It's a desk, so I couldn't use it. And I wish I could, because I like that smaller size. It's actually more optimum for what I'm doing. The color is great, though. The color green's super cute. And I do just end up moving the table a little bit out into the walkway, which looks fine. I think it looks fine. And it suits the kitchen very well. And there's place back there for, for 3 people to eat. And in fact, my monarchs ate there all the time. I told you they're people. They're people. Okay, they're people of the people. That's what they are. They're there for the people. They're there to serve you. They're there to help you, make your life better. They don't need to eat in no fancy dining room. They made mac and cheese. They made mac and cheese too. It's like, what's for dinner? Mac and cheese. Oh, my favorite. Is it the box kind? It is. It is the box kind. All right. Awesome. So they ate there all the time. They never went anyplace else. And I know it's the Sims, right? The Sims are going to go to the first place there is to eat. And so it was fine. But I did think it was kind of cute. They had the king and I, they're, going there and eat their macaroni and cheese at the little kitchen table. I throw in some windows here. These are for the kitchen. These are on the exterior for the kitchen. This was, again, one of those situations where I'm kind of like, oh, shoot, I don't have any windows, in the kitchen. I need to put windows in the kitchen. I need to put windows in the bedrooms. This is the bedroom. This is the bedroom for the family, but they're all exactly the same. All 4 bedrooms are exactly the same. This is the little seating area that I put together for each of these bedrooms. I think even though they're kind of small, they're very serviceable. They're not exactly palatial, but I do feel like they're palatial in that if this was built 400 years ago in Northern Africa, maybe this is the type of bedroom you would have gotten. I don't know, but I feel like it could have worked in that era, even though it may feel, like I said, not exactly like you envision a palace, like, I don't know, something the size of Walmart's your bedroom or something. I don't know. But it turned out pretty. I did like it. I do like it a lot. I basically just copy the bathroom from the master bathroom. That's what I'm doing right there. And adapt it to work for this space. I actually adapted quite a bit. In the end, I'm not real sure why I bothered copying and pasting it, because I moved stuff around a whole lot in it. And I don't really have it set up for 2 people. I have it set up in the end for a single person. Like you see there, I did do a tub and a shower. I threw a nice banner behind the bed to act as sort of a giant headboard and to give some real color to the room. Now, here we go. I actually took out the first couple of things I tried to do here for landscaping, which looked a lot more like the landscaped areas for Verde Mar, for that monarch with the big tree and the flowering bushes. I took those out and just replaced them with those 2, little potted bushes, which look a little more drier with some benches in between them. And I like that look a whole lot. I think it fits the structure and the style so much better. I start working here on, some windows on the back side, fitting in some windows for the bathroom, for the bedrooms. I love those long windows. The long African windows. I just adore them. They're just really spectacular. I'm probably going to use them all the time. One thing, though, that was a good example. I was working there. I was going to do a fountain and a little raised walkway there around the edge of the building. And I stopped and went and did the windows because I was looking and thinking, I need to throw some windows back there. I haven't put any windows there yet. The fountain fountain area is just for decor. There's not really anything to do back here. It's just to make it look pretty. I found a little sort of pot, right? Like this little fire dish. I only put it there because the Maxis build area right next to it has a sort of, dish like that. And I wanted it to match the surrounding area because like Maxis does a lot, the surrounding area looks almost as though it's designed to act as an extension of the lot itself so that the lot will seem grander and larger, even though you can't, it's not player alterable. So I did want it to tie in to what I could see around it. And that's kind of how that ended up there. I do a little landscaping in the back, in the side over here, by the sort of entrance to the kitchen. And then I start to put together another roof deck, this one here. This one I start off pretty simple with just some sun loungers, some sort of umbrellas. In the end, I do make it more of a full-blown sort of place to hold a party. I put in a large waltzing floor. I put in some music, and I put in some fountains and decor. That's not really in the video. It's one of the parts I kind of chopped out because it looks just like everything else that I'd done. It wasn't anything stunning. It was just placing a few things. There will be pictures of it, of course, at the end. And I do that a lot when I'm doing videos. It can get really long with building. And so in order to edit it down a little bit, it's kind of like, well, they've seen me building a roof deck, right? So let's take out, and I got the roof deck above the royal apartment, which is really quite a bit more extensive. That is included in this video. So yeah, I took that part out. I also build, though, and I just didn't record it, I also build a staff quarters, like a butler's quarters, over on that guest wing on the upper deck. So you'll see pictures of that as well. Again, it's not a super revolutionary build. There's not anything particularly stunning about it. It's just standard. It matches the rest of this. It looks good, but there wasn't anything really special. It's just a small, not even small, it's pretty good size butler's quarters, and even has a little kitchen with it and a little place for him to sit outside. So that also is not in the video, but there will be pictures of it at the end. Here, of course, I'm building a stairway to get us up here to the family deck. Again, using these new windows as a sort of fencing for this upper deck. Love the way that turned out. Love the way it looks. I did a double fence here, and I did a double fence on the build yesterday. Somehow to me, it just looks more natural to have a little bit of a setback from the edge. I don't know if that's the parent me coming out, right? The natural inclination of like, okay, I don't need my toddler running up there, to the edge of that little roof and throwing himself over the edge. So that's kind of maybe why I do it that way. I don't know, but there is something in me that says this looks better. I like the way this looks better. I did not really like those screens there, which is kind of weird. I do like them just looking at them. And again, they have a mid-century modern type of vibe, but somehow I haven't used them hardly at all. I used them a little bit as a decor piece on top of a table in the build yesterday in the dining room. But otherwise, I really haven't used them much. So I don't know. I don't know what it is about them. It's kind of like, well, I like it. I don't know if I like it enough to use it. I love the idea. Love the concept. It's very good on paper. Very good on paper. I do love this upper deck. I do this a lot. Like if you saw the build yesterday, then you have kind of seen me do this. It does mirror that build yesterday quite a bit. There is going to be some places, on the floor where you can kind of hang out, lounge in a much more casual, I put it this way at some point, people of leisure at leisure type of behavior. They're just here to hang out. They're having a good time. What time is it? Who knows? I don't know. I don't even know when I got up. That's my life, right? It's not my life. I wish it was my life. I wish it was my life. I would do that. If I won the lottery, I probably wouldn't even know what time it is. I wouldn't. People like, what time is it? I don't know. I haven't checked the clock in a week. I just live my life. I just get up and live that life. That would be the life to live. Can you imagine not living your life by a clock? Oh my God. I almost can't even conceive of it. The idea that you don't have to be places at a certain time. It's inconceivable. I kind of frame out our bar here with a little bit of a look to it, a little bit of an architectural interest type of look. Here is going to be our seating area, our casual one, you know, down on the floor, kind of just leaning in some pillows, drinking a little tea, feeling the breeze, definitely feeling the breeze off of the Mediterranean. Get some of that cool air off of the Mediterranean. And let's see, you know, we're getting pretty close to the end of the video, I think, of this. There's a lot more sort of decor type of stuff, like placing those light fixtures, of course, placing a few more windows just to make it look a little bit more like the rest of the neighborhood, because there were a lot of windows in some of those buildings. I'd make another attempt at this damn bed, right, to fulfill my vision, to kind of get what I want in place, right? Why can't I have what I want, Maxis? In the end, coming up here, I do like it, as I recall. I mean, I make it a little bit bigger. You can see there, right? Spread it out a little bit more. That does give it more grandeur. That does kind of help. Throwing in this particular wall pattern, that helps. And then since I couldn't get the columns to raise up against the wall, I moved them out one space, which at first I was worried might look a little odd, but then I didn't. I liked it just fine. And so, yeah, that's kind of, you can see kind of here what I ended up going with. I do put in sort of spandrels instead of a wall. I can't remember what else. Well, the molding there at the bottom, I feel like there's more to it than this, but maybe not. In the end, I was pretty happy with it. Oh, and in fact, that is it. That's the end of the video. Now you'll see I did do some more stuff to this bedroom coming up here in the pictures. The pictures are rolling now. So when we get to the master bedroom, you'll see there is quite a bit more to it. After the pictures are done, please hit like, subscribe, and notify. There will be more videos and live streams coming for this pack. This pack's just getting started. This was early access, but we should be having the bulk of the game changers, or not game changers. I'm tired, you guys. It's been a long day. This is the end of my day, and it's been a long day. It's been a lot of editing and a lot of voiceovers and a lot of stuff to do. I'm surprised I haven't lost my voice yet because it's been hours of speaking. But there should be coming up soon the bulk of the creator network will have access as well to the pack. And so you'll, tune into them too. Check out their take on it. Check out what they think about it. Be sure and check everybody out. It's always good to get a lot of opinions, right? I typically love build mode, right? Like I love build mode. Every pack, I love it because I love the build stuff. And most of the time I love the world, most of the time. But, and I especially love this neighborhood. I love it. I adore it. So yeah, I mean, I'm usually pretty happy just from that standpoint, but check out with other people, kind of get their opinions as well. So I hope that you'll hit like, subscribe, and notify. I've been talking here, hoping that this is enough time for the pictures to play through. And until next time, like I said, there's another build coming. Now, so far I did kind of a small build for the royal family. I did this large build for the royal family. The next one is a studio apartment. Yeah, so now don't get me wrong. The person I made it for is also a royal. She's just found out through the Simnistry registry, right? Sims genetic registry, that her ancestry traces back to Africa. And it seems almost certain that she is a long lost member of the royal family, right? So she's come here to Northern Africa to explore what it is. So obviously she's not a royal family member, right? Not yet. So she's staying in a studio apartment. But so I did kind of make it for the royals, right? For royalty. And that'll be coming next. Please hit like, subscribe, and notify. And thanks for watching.